I'm Dee, and this is the Unguided Life where I am taking it one day at a time, being guys along for the journey to hold me accountable as I budget my way through life. And how this look on paper is I do a monthly budget pre-plan. I break down my income bi-weekly. I check my progress with my savings and my debt. And I do monthly mid-month check-ins, as well as I review my budget. And it's time for us to actually review the budget. So this is the monthly review sheet that I created to help when closing out my budget for the next, to be ready for the next month. And this has all the information from the beginning of the month. It's the monthly take home pay, my expenses broken down in fixed and variable, my envelope system, and savings and sinking funds. In order to fill this out, we got to make sure everything else was closed out. I also grade myself. So this is a worksheet that I was able to snag from Tasha with Mind Your Money or TashaLovesLife.com. And it's a way for us to honestly reflect and then speak life back into our money to going forward in our next budget. This is a familiar sheet. This is the monthly budget overview sheet. This is what you see in the beginning of September. Now you notice it has percentages. As stated, I use these percentages to try to kind of see exactly where my money is. I'm planning my money to go in the month. So as you can see, the bulk of it went to housing. I did a little bit of saving. The next highest percentage was debt. And so all around it looks like, and when I'm looking at, you can add savings and seekings together. So that's actually 14%. So I'm not really off. That'll make that the third largest percentage, which I'm fine about. Because I just don't want to be wasting money or just straight giving it away and not seeing anything on my end. So that's good. So we're good with that. This was the September monthly budget overview detail. When I started, you didn't know what I was working towards. So I was working towards no unbudgeted spending on my credit card, save at least $150 for my emergency fund, and update my monthly tracking sheet. So we'll discuss that a little bit later when we do the budget review. Also, if all of them have checks to let me know that everything was paid in the month of September. So we're just going to put that to the side as well. This was the monthly budget pre-plan sheet. We don't have to see that at this time. It just was telling us what we plan to do. This was the paycheck number 1 breakdown. Here's number 2. And here's number 3. We had a struggle bus at number 3, but that was good. This is the spending record. We also want to make sure we close out our spending record. As you can see that I've already started working on my October budget, as well as I was able to go ahead and break down my first check of my October budget, but I still need to reflect on my September. So that's why this sheet is still here, and we need this because we do have to close out the week. Okay, so even though I did it here, I need to do it here as well. So let me just get the ink pen. I start using this ink pen here. So let's go with the red first. So for the bills, $307.57. For gas, I didn't spend anything on gas. Go figure, y'all. That's 0. For groceries, I spent the full amount, which was $23.03. Then for the personal, I spent the whole $10. Oh, that should have been black. I know I was turning it for some reason. So I spent all of the $10.85, and I didn't spend anything for, well, I already made that mistake because it do need to be red. So let me fix this. And let's make this red. Move that up just a little. Give me. So it was $10.85 that was spent. Then I didn't spend anything for Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, so let's do that. So now let's talk about what's remaining and close that out. So this was 0, so we're in the black. We had some left in gas, so that's $48.62. We don't have anything remaining in groceries, and we didn't go over, so that's in the black. Then for personal, we spent everything, so that's in the black. We didn't go over. And we have remaining in Dunkin' Donuts $24.10. Now, as far as the sinking fund, I did end up sending my mom the $50 so the grass can be cut. I almost forgot, but then she had mentioned something. She wasn't mentioning about this because she doesn't look for this. But she had mentioned something. I'm like, oh, I forgot. So that leaves us with a balance of $71.45 going into October. Okay, so we are done with that. Now this was the expense tracker. When we left off, we had made a payment, I believe. And from that payment here, we had a few items to come through, and then the October bill. So looking at my unbudgeted, if you can see color-wise, it looks like we didn't spend as much in the unbudgeted category in September. And yeah, I thought it was going to be a little bit more, but then when I look at it, I was like, I think I started reining in. August was like a heavy hitter, and I think I just started reining it in September. So we're good with that. So we can move that to the side. Now this is the expense tracker for unbudgeted, and as you can see, wasn't too much activity. It left with $6.25. So we need to account for that. This was the emergency fund progress sheet, and I added 200, and we talked about where we're at and where we need to go to meet our goals. So we're good with that. And this was the monthly debt update that I did, and this is just showing that I completed this, and this is where we stand. So we are good in the hood with that. So now we can go back to the review sheet that I just like literally buried. I like buried that sheet. So okay, here we go. So I'm back here, and I no longer need this anymore. I can put this aside. I'm gonna use the pink. Now I was looking for the orange one I have like this. I had it up until it was time for me to actually use it, so I had to use the other one that's not as bright, but it's totally fine. It is a-okay. So let's talk about the actual column. So with the income source number 1, I budgeted $3,344.14, and the amount that I actually brought in was $3,429.61. I didn't budget anything for income source number 2 or the bonus income, but I did bring in or have $6.27 that needed to be allocated. So let's add that up. So 3,429.61 plus 6.25. Oh, plus, let me do 2 cents because that was 6.27. So that's 3,429.61 plus 6.27. I guess that is right. Oh, it's not right. It's 4.27. I'm like, that looks weird. I know I didn't have 6. I got 6.25. See how your mind be wondering? Your mind wonder. But Your mind be wondering, but sometimes you got to get on track. So 4.27. Okay, now that's right. So $3,433.88 is what I had to work with. Now for my fixed expenses, there was only a slight change in this, and that was in the giving category, it actually was $334.34. Everything else was the same, so I'm not going to write that out. It just is so much easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 1574.45, and I can see that's just 7 cents. So I'm just going to minus 7. And so that was 1574.38. So then let's go into the variable expenses. There were some changes in the variable expenses. I actually did not have to send $353.14 to credit card number 1. Most of the purchases from this $353.14 was unbudgeted. I did do some side income, so I allocated that towards those unbudgeted, which left me with an actual amount that I subtracted from my income breakdown of $149.22. So as far as water was the same, cable was the same, phone bill was the same, and the insurance was the same. Now with the unbudgeted, as we know, I did talk about that I did some extra giving, and that was $86.71. So we're just going to take the 855.46, and I'm going to minus 353.14, and then I'm just going to add these two back. All right, so that's 738.25. Now let's talk about the envelope system. And for Dunkin' Donuts, we did send $40. For gas, we did send $120. For groceries, we actually sent $250 because I sent $50 during income breakdown number 2. And for personal, I sent an extra $50 as well, so that was actually $135. So that was 40 plus 120 plus 250 plus 135. So that's 545. Now, with the groceries, the reason why I sent more was because I underestimated what I'll need for the detox that I did. So I thought that most of it would cover it, which it did, but then when I went into the following week, there was some items I needed to refill or restock. So that was that. Then for personal, I had a little cushion with the extra income that came in that I was able to allocate more to this category, which I really did need. So there we go with that. Now go into savings and sinking funds, and how I look at this is, if I saved, I definitely put what I saved, and if I spent, I put a check, because again, we need to verify that it has been reconciled. So I did save the $200, and I did spend out of this category, so I'm going to put a check. Then for retreat, I did actually save for retreat $35, so it's less than what I planned, but I did spend out of it, so I'm going to put a check. For Papa, it was the $50, and I didn't spend out of that. For the property, the Sandlot, I didn't spend anything out of that. Oh yes, I did. I just told the story. I just went over it. Come on now. So let's put a check, but I didn't allocate anything towards it. For me, myself, and it says 1, but it's supposed to be I. There we go. We got it. Ghetto I. I didn't plan anything, but I was able to go ahead and send 85. And I didn't spend out of that, so I'm going to put an X there. Now for savings here, I budgeted $100, but I was able to send $200, y'all. And of course, I haven't spent out of that. And then for the checking buffer, the amount that was saved was $6.25. So let's go ahead and add that together and see what we have. So that's $576.25. Now we're gonna go here where it says total income, and we're gonna put the $3,433.88. And then we're gonna total all of this up to see if that equals the same, because we want a zero-based budget in the beginning and we want one at the end, and we have one at the end. Y'all don't know how good this feels to be on track with these monthly reviews, because they used to be a struggle. All right, so we have our reflection, and this is for September. I'm just gonna abbreviate it. And there we go. So how did I do this month? Now looking back at the, I don't know where I put it. Oh, is that it? No, that's not it. Oh, that's it. Looking back at it, at the monthly goals, no unbudgeted spending on credit card, and it was unbudgeted spending on credit card. So I'm just gonna write a little X there because it was some. Did I save at least $150 towards my emergency fund? I sure did. And was I able to update my monthly sheets? And yes, I did. So those monthly sheet was that weekly check-in that you're seeing that I needed to add the Dunkin' Donuts. And then I think I did a little bit more changes too, but I'm not 100% sure what they were. But that was one key that I had noticed that I needed to do. And then I just decided to make that a goal because it was centered around my budget. Now with the unbudgeted spending on a credit card, though there was some, I was able to rectify that by getting out there and hitting that pavement and putting that money back. And then I curved that actual spending in September, where I was not, the unbudgeted didn't come because I wasn't planning for it. It was like, okay, I'm gonna put this on my credit card and then move it to the respective account. From the respective account, it was meaning that my side income. So these purchases, this is unbudgeted, was unbudgeted, but they were earmarked for my side income. So I hope that makes any sense. So I'm actually going to give myself an A. And the reason I'm going to give myself an A, because we got through a monthly review without hiccups. So yes, but what could I have done better? Of course, what I could have done better, no unbudgeted spending is one thing that I feel that I needed to do. The second thing I needed to do is what I was explaining. There was a lot of things in the background that was happening. First thing first is I started seeing a chiropractor in the early part of August, and it was sketchy business from the beginning. Now I am a believer in the practice of chiropractic. Is it chiropractic or chiropractors? Well, I believe in it. Often some people don't, and they often get the bad rep amongst the other medical professions because, I don't know, because they do the same amount of schooling as the rest of them, so I be all confused. But they, you know, everybody got to be. Everybody has to be. So it was like they were like selling me something, like selling me a card. It gave me that feeling, and I don't like to be in a doctor's office when I'm being sold something. Even when I go to my dermatologist, I'm like, are you selling me this, or is this really gonna help me? Because I'm not gonna buy nothing that's gonna burn my skin off. So let's be realistic. So at first it was, quick story, real fast. First they were like, they rather not bill my insurance and they put me on a plan. But it wasn't like one of those credit card plans. It was like an internal plan, I guess, that they created for themselves. Bad. When I calculated everything, it was less for me, if I went with this plan, then I was to go through my insurance. But prior to making that decision, there was 2 bills that went through my insurance. That was fine. The reason why I wanted them to be careful was because I have a flexible spending account, and each time I go to the doctor, in the system triggers my flexible spending account when the bill is issued, because they can see it before me, and then they disperse the money to my account. So oftentimes I go to the doctor and money will appear in my bank account, and I'm like, where did this come from? I didn't get a bill. And then I'll get a bill like a week or 2 later. So I was fine with the first 2. And then when we switched over to this care plan, there should have not been no activity with my insurance. Well, that was not the case. This past Saturday, I get this notification about all of these claims that came through, and it come from this doctor's office. And so I called on Monday. The lady still has not called me back. Okay? She hasn't called me back. And now I have to sit there and write a nasty review on Google, because this has caused the issue. Is now I had to put in a claim for them to deny those claims, so all the money that dispersed in my account can go right back to my flexible spending account. So with that, the second thing was the part-time job fiasco situation. So those 2 situations there, I feel that I could have done better by communicating. I don't think I communicated well enough. I think what happens is, and I know sometimes it don't come across on camera here when you hear me, but I have a way to lighten things up, and then people take that as not being serious, and oftentimes they think they can blow things past me, and it may come over my head one time, but when I sit still, again, because I'm a whole body, so I have plenty of time to sit still when I get in my home, that's when I'm like, no, this don't make no sense. Break it down. So what I can do better, communicate effectively. I don't think that was done. And I was entangled in situations. So going forward, I'm speaking life into my money, into my finances. The same thing. Speaking life into my finances in life. And the first thing with my finances, I'm a good steward. I believe that I have conquered, with the help of the Lord, so much, and that I have learned. So many bad habits I learned through this process, I've unlearned them, and I've been able to apply better habits. And from that point, I have been able to pour that into my son, and that to me is a blessing. And so when I say I'm a good steward, I'm a good steward, period. Okay, so this is how we're gonna end our September budget. It looks good, y'all. Look at it.